Hello everybody. In this video we're going to take a quick look at how to use Microsoft Visio. Visio being one of the Microsoft Office products, one that you generally don't see packaged with Microsoft Office, but it is available. It's an add-on program, and it does a number of different things. Specifically, we're going to be using it for creating ERD diagrams. And I wanted to just show you a simple example so that you would be able to use Visio in our upcoming lab. So here is a very basic ERD diagram. You'll see that we have two entities, course and class, and each entity has its own number of attributes and so on, and we are going to build this. So I'm going to minimize this, and here is Microsoft Visio. Now you should have already downloaded Visio from Microsoft Azure. The instructions are on our Canvas site, and I've asked a number of times as to whether or not you've downloaded it, and most of you have indicated that you have. So I'm assuming that you all have it on your machines. We are going to start by doing a new, and then we are going to put in entity, relationship, diagram. Okay, we'll search for that, and it gives us our choice of the three that we've talked about, and we want to select the crow's foot, and we're going to do that in US units. So we'll say create here, and here's our chart, or our workspace if you will, and I'm going to focus in a little bit. So we'll zoom to let's say 100%. And there that is. Okay, so again, we've got two entities that we are going to be creating a one to many relationship. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take an entity over here on the left hand side, bring that over, and I'll begin by entering in the entity name, which is course. And then it already sets up for primary keys and so on, but you can change that as we go. But the primary key in course was CRS code, or course code. So CRS code. And then the attributes that follow, I've got department code, and I'm double clicking on this to get into an edit mode with the attribute, and this is CRS description, and I need another attribute. So I point into the entity, I give it a right click, and I say insert attribute below, and I can move this attribute around just by clicking and dragging it. So the last attribute is CRS credit. Okay, so that completes my first entity. Let's create the second entity, again going over to the left, grabbing an entity object, holding and dragging it over into our workspace. Again, entering in the entity name, and then the primary key. I'll get that later. And then we're going to go on and enter our others. So we've got that. Then we've got class section. Next, we want to add a couple of additional attributes to our class entity. So we'll go up to the class section, just tap on that, then give it a right click and go to insert after the attribute. And I'm going to do a couple of these. Insert after, and I think I need 3 of them all together. Insert after. Okay, so we've got those there. And we'll put in class time. Then class, or I'm sorry, room code. And then professor number. You also notice that I turned on the attribute types, and what we're showing here is that the system is looking at these as integer values. Now these probably would not be integer values, but you can turn these on by just going up here and then clicking on show attribute types. I'm not concerned about configuring the attribute types just yet, but that will be something that we will be talking about shortly in the next week or so. Okay? So we've got our 2 entities. Now what we need to do is we need to create a relationship between them. But before we can do that, the relationship is going to be between the course and class through the CRS code. And you'll notice down below here the CRS code in the class entity. We need to configure that as a foreign key. So we're going to say set foreign key, and you can see the little FK there. And now we're going to bring in a relationship. So I'm going to bring in this relationship here. And this is the start of it, this is the end of it. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to plug this into trying to get it. Okay, and then the other end is going to go over to course code. And there we go. Okay. Now I'm going to click on our relationship line here, and then I'm going to go over here and I'm just going to increase the size of this. I want to make this a 3 so it's a little easier to read. And what you can see is that we've got a relationship kind of mixed up here. It should be a one to many, and we're showing many to one. So we actually want to turn that around. Let me bring back our diagram so we can just refer to that quickly. So here's our diagram down below. We've got a one-to-one or one-to-many with the cardinality of 1 over here and a minimum of 1 over here. And so we're going to now change our diagram over here. We'll click on that. We'll now and then we want to change the ending symbol, and that's going to be 1 or more. Okay, and then over here this is going to be the beginning symbol, and this is going to be 1 and only 1. Okay, and let's bring our diagram back, and you can see that our ERD now matches with the diagram that we started with. So that's in a nutshell how to use Microsoft Visio. All of the other things that you've learned about Microsoft Office products pretty much work the same way in terms of printing, in terms of scaling the view, formatting, and so on. Okay, we will continue to work with this. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Thanks.